Divine-gpms.world is a worldwide cumulative gathering of consents for every child, woman, and man to ratify and enact into law worldwide the all-inclusive replacement system of money and law worldwide. As outlined on the consenting website of divine-gpms.world, it is imperative that all worldwide take a couple of minutes and consent to add your accord, children included.
Greetings to everyone. We are on January 18, 2026. We are on divine-gpms.world, open public worldwide meeting. And as usual, we have with us the founder, Rick Jewers, High Priest of Melchizedek Order, and also Guardian representative all over the world. Rick, all the time, in the last time especially, we start with Ascension, what it is new in the Ascension, because from here we have the people reaction based on their fear to speak the truth out or to understand what is happening on the system. So this awakening, mass awakening of the population ascension, it is extremely important also for the implementation of GPMS. Please let us know where we are on January 18, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, and you're welcome. Let's get the candy out of my mouth. Yeah, the ascension is the great awakening, again, just simply for anyone that is new, and it is by divine design. So everything that is occurring in the world has been preordained, allowed to occur, and the simple thing is that it was preordained that when humanity and the darkness reached such a point of conflict and suffering and pain, that when it reached such a point, there was the timing of the divine intervention in it and to advance humanity forward out of the savage paradigm, just to keep it simple. And to allow for this to happen, to transition humanity in the quickest, most way. Let's say there are things that occurred that was not divinely intervened with certain events because it had to expose and reveal the darkness to the fullest extents. And right at this point in time, it has all culminated that we are right at the pivot point. What I believe with this, of course, there's no going back for more and more. They have reached the point on Earth at saying, what is the point of this reality, this savage reality that they're in? So through the course of experience, if you will, and seeing the events, but also with the consciousness elevating, which is the rapture. It is the elevation of consciousness. It's that quick and sudden upliftment of consciousness, which then creates the uplifting reality. But the consciousness and the choices need to occur first to be in alignment with the new world that we're already creating, gpms.world. So there is that gathering. When ones are ready, then they align with divine gpms.world. And this is the ascension. It ascends them from the current beast savage system into the next level, which is the harmonious heaven on earth reality. But what occurs with this, all of the players that you see here, not all of them goes forward. There are many different, the truth about reality is everything that you think is human on earth or that you may think is not. It's a mixture. And most importantly, they're not souls, so they cannot go forward. They do not have the ability within their DNA and what they are to transition it to live in the next ascending level of a heaven on earth environment. This is why the darkness, they can never change their spots. They are the evil by design. They can never be anything different than that, but they do not go forward. So you're in this time of a great judgment process, which is going on that yes, the darkness is being judged, but also every individual is judged by their choices, and it needs to occur this way. So, what's happening is the darkness, the events with it, has to be seen so that the people make the opposite choices. So they are allowed to, let's say, see this. So, right at this point, it's obvious worldwide, if you will, what is wrong in so many ways with reality. But again, we're not about what's wrong. We're here to give everyone what is right. See, morality is the most important indicator to judge oneself and to dictate where they will be at in reality. So it is a purified inner work process as well. But what occurs as we go forward, ones are being compressed and forced more and more to make those choices because one of the main reasons is that creation itself is energy. And once you have, let's say, so many souls that are experiencing extreme hardship and suffering, it creates a negative energy, which is stress, onto Earth. And that affects Earth and causes many storms, earthquakes, and all of these other variations. But to itemize and particularize with everything that the darkness has done here, it would take years to explain that to everyone. So we keep it simple divinely that once they are suppressed enough, they know no longer do they want this reality. And their consciousness raises enough to see the nonsense of this savage reality. So just to keep it simple, that is in a nutshell, if you will, the first part of the ascension to take humanity from point A to point B. But as well as I said, there is a mix upon Earth that are not human. At the same time, there are divine delegates that are also here in humanoid vessels, if you will, because that not only is the spiritual battle being played out, it's also being played out here in the physical to change this world and to deliver ones who are going from purgatory, if you will. It's a great way to look at it. And what you will notice with your friends, if you will, that they have begun to age that are not in alignment if you see them. And that's because their alignment is with the dying world, the death world, where we are going. And this is why you retain your youth, because everything is energetic vibration and much more as you access more of the keys of love. Love is the most important key to have because that is the expression of all of the other uh, divinely noble attributes and characteristics because you need to be this for your energetic field to fit in to this purified world. So having said that, when ones are not in alignment with what they're supposed to divinely be doing, Then they begin to age very quickly because their energetic alignment is with the dark beast world as well. And this begins to play, and where you'll see ones beginning to, let's say, they ascend marginally, but they'll leave here in a death process. But there's two things that are playing out at once. There is two timelines. There is the ascending timeline with the physical vessel, but there is the descending timeline that stays intact for about another, I think, 58 linear years. So these ones now, by not making, let's say, the full choices where they have the information to do so, enough to come into alignment, if they don't change, what occurs is death is not what it seems. So when one will die here, if you will, typically they are put down to this lower timeline. But you don't see any of this because we're on the higher timeline and taking those forward that are going and that have passed the tests, if you will. And the tests are morality, always doing everything that is right, because it's morality and love that unites. The opposite separates, and it also puts them on that lower timeline where their experiences can be very different, but it can be very negative as well. See, everything that we teach is taught for a reason that I've put out. For example, your diets are important. Yes, you are invincible, but you have a physical vessel here that you are responsible to at least taking care of. That's why the teachings with the diet is out there. It's why the teachings about don't drink chlorinated water is out there. It's about why the teachings are don't eat meat, don't drink alcohol, because there's a reason that these teachings are out there because they're very important for the individual. Yes, many don't believe it. However, just because they don't believe it and they continue, it attracts more and more negative things to them. See, they never know what they're missing. So it's important to follow the guidance and do the inner work. Then ones will receive consciously what they need to do more of and what is important to do. And the information is incrementally delivered to them into levels of consciousness. But if they negate that, if they negate divinity, if you will, well, then it plunges them down and their reality will set up to be negative experiences, aging, and all of these other things. But I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. Yes, I understand very well. Sometimes there is a variation between the camera. In some camera, I'm looking very old and fat, and in other, I'm looking very young or something like so. Yeah, it's a huge, huge, huge variation. But inside, I do not know my look outside, but inside of me, I'm like on my 20, maximum 30. I feel extremely good, and how can I say, if in 2020, for example, I still had fear for some things that I started to discover, today I am fearless. So it's nothing. So it's moving on the way, just sleeping very well, especially after I have also the cat. So the cat has a huge, huge, huge influence. We know that the cats are not basically they are not animals, they are not pets, but they are coming like pets for us to help us on these divine times. And I believe that there are a couple of million of housing that they have a cat as pet. They appear in our life, especially when the time is coming. So no, it's amazing. What I observe over this United States land, what is happening, for example, with Greenland and also other lands, they have an intervention on, for example, Trump chose to have the intervention on the Greenland. Um, and the people from the United States started to speak if they, as American, they should be involved or not in the sovereignty of a state like the Greenland, or for example in Venezuela. So in Venezuela, there it was a lot of harm from Maduro's system, and at the same time nobody was still doing nothing, but the intervention started recently, and the Maduro regime is out. So right now, I'm not speaking what they are doing, like Trump or American thinking on everything, but the people would like also to know in our system, when we have an worldwide community, how we consider areas as land, as for example, Greenland or Venezuela. So we are all brother and sister. At the same time, when somebody it is in another continent or in another area. Um, so what may be the reaction if something bad happen in another area? We know that universal law, it's about to respect the land and all life on earth, and also the planet that it is alive. At the same time, some bad things may happen in some areas. So what will be the people from other area living, their intervention, how they may consider? For example, should they intervene on what is happening there, or how we see the sovereignty of another areas with GPMS system?
Well, with GPMS, the GPMS world, it's a harmonious world. There is no conflict. There are no storms. There are no big earthquakes. There's none of these natural disasters. You're in a harmonious world. Right now, you're going through the bottleneck of that, if you will, as each one is able to get through the bottleneck, then they arrive and align with divine GPMS. Sovereignty is the God sovereign free, if you will. It is the God sovereignty not to be controlled by another, including money that is made by a few and controlled by a few. So that doesn't exist in this world that we are creating. Everything is shared equally. So there is nothing bad with that. What you're seeing now, what is coming to the forefront, is the serious attacks on human dignity and human sovereignty, if you will. And it's playing out that ones need to see how it's not morally right, if you will, to, let's say, in Venezuela, go into another's house and take out the mother and father out of the house, kidnap them. And when you look at Greenland, if you will, the indigenous population there of perhaps about 55,000, but still, let's say, connected to Denmark, because that is, let's say, I'm looking for the right words, but let's say Greenland is somewhat under the wing of Denmark, but the importance, the sovereignty of the Greenland people is recognized, at least to the utmost degree, by Denmark. And also, when you look at Greenland being an indigenous people, what you're also seeing is the attack by the Trump administration upon the indigenous components as well, and the sovereignty. And you see this when uh, ones need to read the signs that they're so obvious that the darkness always needs to show you what they're doing. If you're in a state of neutrality and you watch, you can see what they're doing. For example, Trump, when he got in this last term, one of the big insults, if you will, to the indigenous people, but he blatantly showed the indigenous people by putting up General Jackson, the president, Andrew Jackson, I believe it is, putting up his portrait on the Oval Office wall behind Trump. So when he sits there, and Jackson is the remover that participated in the removal of so many indigenous people from their lands in the US, and also many other atrocities that came with that. But what you see is Trump being the example of that. So now what you see, not only with indigenous people being attacked, if you will, to the degree in Greenland, but also the sovereignty of Venezuela being attacked. But these are external terrorisms. But you also see the domestic terrorism with ICE, if you will, in the US that is spreading the widespread fear that is causing much turmoil, unrest, and all of these things. But it's and what they tend to do, getting back, they always give you the signs, if you will. So this is an attack on sovereignty worldwide, but you need to look at Trump as being the representative of the capitalistic beast system. This is the real evil and the real darkness. For example, you see things getting worse and worse in the US, inflation and things going higher and higher when the cure worldwide is Divine-gpms.world. And indirectly, Trump was given GPMS as well as the Queen of Denmark and also Putin. No response to it. And this was years ago. So they were tested. All right, are they genuine? If they are, as a competent leader, Divine GPMS is the most simplest common sense. The majority of the people and how value is created. Any competent leader would recognize how this is the instant solution. So when you give it to any leader and they reject or ignore it, it becomes very clear who and what they are and what they're actually supporting. And it's not in the best interests of the people at all. And the darkness, if you will, they create so many stories and use the social media that they fabricate stories to get people to believe it, but to justify their narrative as well. So the tactic is to part of what they do with the psyops programs when ones begin to awaken, they fill them with lies and stories that it's a movie playing out. Don't do anything. And at the same time, when they keep these ones complacent at not standing up and taking action, let's say with their mass genocide programs, all of and wars and pestilence and famine that is created and the hardship more and more dying by keeping ones looking at a movie and telling the people that it's a movie. What they are actually doing is eliminating humanity and causing more and more suffering because the darkness lives off of this type of energy. The darkness cannot create anything itself. what it does, it manipulates the beliefs and thoughts of the souls to create the reality for them. And also, with the human souls on Earth, they are generators of energy, which dictates what happens in reality. So, by the darkness keeping the majority of souls in a fear state, what it actually does, it keeps creating and looping and regenerating fear to keep humanity enslaved. So the evil uses these tactics to enslave humanity. And what we're seeing now, that the darkness is becoming even more and more afraid that their actions are becoming more desperate to try to hold on to that old reality. And again, if you're objective and you read the signs, you can very easily see who is who and what is going on. But again, what I say for all, don't waste a lot of time. You simply know and feel in your heart what is right and what is not. And this is the morality. And once ones have had enough, then they know, yes, Divine-gpms.world is the common sense instant solution to end all suffering worldwide instantly. And so things are designed with that. So what we saw with I love using the US as the example because it's the last domino of the darkness to fall. It was the last stronghold of the capitalistic system in the darkness and the psychological um, illusions, manipulation, and also the aggressive military to instill fear worldwide. So it's the last domino to fall. So the US itself, uh, the dark regime part of it, is imploding very quickly, but it cannot contain its reality. So it's attempting to cause distractions and other conflicts worldwide again. So, having said this, because of its great fear, because it's imploding at the same time from the Venezuela incident, 67% of the US people did not approve of it. Now we see it escalated with a move towards Greenland. We see the 67% has now risen to about 80%. And this 80% is an important number because on Earth it is 75%, which are human souls that are going forward. So in any typical country, you can use the relative 75%. So where we're now seeing this in the US, it means the US souls are awakened enough because they know what isn't right. Now they're ready to choose what is right, is the Divine-gpms.world. And not only that, with Canada, I see is coming very, very close or neck and neck with this as the people begin to break through the illusion and see the truth of the reality. And the darkness, if you will, they're also their consciousness level is not as high as the human souls and the divine ones, meaning that the darkness also have a certain degree of bewilderment. They're trying to control humanity, yet they're losing control. And the more they lose control, they become more desperate to do things. And let me just say, recently with the US military, there has been divine intervention once again to disable at least some of their equipment. And what I need to say is we are divine, we are multi-dimensional. The darkness and the militaries, they are not. They are confined to this one dimension, the fourth dimension. We are fifth dimension and above. And because of that, when universal laws are broken here, we are able to then come in directly and take direct measures to prevent the darkness from destroying the planet. Because again, by the darkness creating great fear, this energy gets into Gaia and it begins to cause these huge storms, earthquakes, extensive flooding, and what have you as well. And currently, it's important to note the extensive flooding that just occurred in South Africa and also Australia. Unprecedented flooding again, with homes being submerged, campgrounds, vehicles floating down rivers. The amount of water that comes, that there is no warning with it, that it comes so quick. And once again, you'll hear described, at least in Australia, a wall of water that just comes out of nowhere that, let's say, went through a campground and ones didn't really have any time at all to get away because it's a wall of water. It's not just a rising river that is normal. When these things come, it's huge walls of water, and not only water currently in Russia, Kamchatka, if I pronounce that correctly, a phenomenal amount of snow, uh, unprecedented, if you will, perhaps, at least for that area. So these are examples of what the divine ones were given as signs of the end times, but also through antiquity with humanity, with mentions of end times, there is also the beginning, the new times. And that is what divine GPMS is. Both are happening simultaneously. The destruction of the old, which is this current matrix system and all of the foolishness with all of its politics, its monetary things. So that is the destruction of the old. It's the end times of that beast system. At the same time, the harmonious, pristine heaven on earth is divine GPMS. But again, we're going through this, that these ones that are still parts of this beast system to great extents, they're being forced to make the choices. And when they do, they begin awaken to take themselves first consciously out of the matrix and into the higher proportions and moral and divine proportions. Then also they're able to recognize and see what GPMS is. And before GPMS began, if you will, there was a problem always with the churches, if you will, true, and what was not. And with that, let me just say, through so many things that have occurred, it's been revealed infiltration into most of the churches. I'm yet to find a free church that recognizes what GPMS is. Yes, we've been contacting some, but it becomes even in Austria with what we're doing. We contacted the churches, but I looked a little bit more into why the churches in Austria was not responding. It's because more or less they're all involved in scandals with children, child abuse, and pedophilia, and much more. So these are not real churches. These are churches, if you will, that is taken over by the darkness. These are not churches of morality and righteousness with all the good things of God. They are the blasphemers of that. And it's done intentionally, again, to control humanity. But I won't ramble on with that. I'll stop. Thank you.
Yes, at the same time, we have, I can say, a lot of, a little bit different information. For example, the inside of the Christianity, there are the Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, there are differences, and they are keeping every church and the pastor that they are there, they are keeping their way that it was also developed before. So they are not even maybe they may look for another information, or someday they started to discover something else, but at the same time the churches are also inside of the actual system, are controlled by the actual system, so they still need to keep their story, what they are doing there. And some, they are true believer of what the information it is there, so they are just keeping forward everything that they are doing. So this is also part of the infiltration in the churches with agents from the government, that they try to control pastor, as we had the experience in Romania. In the United States, they are more, um, from what I saw there some years ago, they are focused on what they believe and what they are doing on their activity, and they do not really pay attention to a new system, because their belief, it is a little bit another, like we may change the world, changing all the people, um, coming to the God and coming to the churches and coming to the God. So their approach, it is a little bit different. And as I started also in Canada, I see a little bit the same idea with the pastor, but at the same time, the people that they are working for the churches, they are more looking if something positive may happen also inside of the system, so they may be more open, but also the pastors, so they are kept by the system to move in a specific direction. So I do not know what will be the time when they will break free. And
No, well, if I may, the churches are being judged as part, showing what churches are the darkness, what the leaders, but it's about the ones that are genuine and know that some of the churches are teaching is not the truth. So again, what what we do is we look for the people themselves that know the truth, that the church is infiltrated one, whatever one that may be. So uh, so what we say, it's about the people, not about the churches, but it's a very important part of their learning process to see how things have been manipulated and infiltrated by the darkness. But having said this, there are some genuine, let's say, priests or pastors that are out there. But what we're finding, and I know you can agree, there are very few of them. They're controlled by the monetary beast system in the state. This is the thing. And not only the beast monetary system, but the beast artificial laws as well that they use. For example, the church in the US, one of the laws is that they were not allowed to speak about politics. And you can see very quickly, why that was there. But again, once the church is controlled, then they're allowed to speak about politics because they're being controlled by the darkness. So you see quite a mixture with it. But to keep everything simple, yes, most have come to know what the church is worldwide. how it was infiltrated. But the Word of God is the thing as well that's also been manipulated. The real teachings of Jesus, the empowerment tools, those were taken out of the Bible. They were taken out and not given to the people, the real teachings. And this is part of what I have been reintroducing for the last 13 linear years is the teachings, the real teachings of Jesus and the Essenes and also the empowerment tools, because this is part of the prerequisite to position one's back into their own morality and to strengthen that as part of their purity to be a part of the new world and to ascend. So, we give at least the opportunity, as I've said, um, in the beginning, we had indirectly and directly given GPMS as a test to the US, to Denmark, and Russia as well, with no response. That was a test on them. We also did it with many churches, no response. So that is also a test. And also, when you look at a lot of influencers that are out there, um, on, let's say, the YouTube, social media, speaking about all of this spirituality and talking all of the good things, but when you give them GPMS, they don't do it and they don't recognize it. So that it also begins to identify them that they have an underlying agenda, motive, or they're just not ready for it yet. But when you have ones following these ones, it's also keeping ones kind of astray. But the beauty of it, as more joins GPMS and begins to spread it out more worldwide, then it is listened to, because at the same time, if you have a controlled opposition that is giving non-truths out, the people, when their consciousness begins to raise, they see this and they identify, then they no longer resonate with that teacher or that one that's giving them the false narratives. And this is the breakdown of that. And that's why one of the things that, with my most recent observations, is that I don't see anything about Nasara, Jassara, white hats, because that is a dark narrative, but it's no longer being supported. This is the same when I go and use the numbers of the US, of the people. The people are not supporting in the US what the government is doing there. So, anyways, we keep going forward. Thank you.
So I would like to mention that GPMS is not a religion, and every pastor, it does not matter the belief. If they believe on the second coming of Jesus Christ as a man on the sky, or if the Mother Mary, it is outside of the Bible, or it does not matter the belief. GPMS, it is all-inclusive system, and we are waiting also for the pastor to come to speak about the love, moral principle, and everything that it is good and do no harm. So these are universal laws and principle, and GPMS, it is about the implementation of universal law, do no harm, worldwide. Yeah, at the same time, trying to speak with somebody from that sharing all the time Ascension in Romania, when I ask what it is the reason that they are not doing also something else like sharing GPMS message, because he agreed with GPMS at the time. The answer back was that they were told it is enough to speak only about the Ascension. I do not know who is telling them to speak only about the ascension and saying that it is enough. I have no any kind of idea. So probably because I don't believe that they ask for permission to start to speak, but probably there are groups or probably they gather also, and it seems that their opinion it is enough to speak only about the ascension. Probably when the people are ascended, they are able to create their system. But the understanding that we can advance the humanity in the fifth dimension quickly via GPMS, it's still not yet there. So it does not matter if they are speaking about the ascension, they still cannot see the point of GPMS, unfortunately. So Lodi, we had a meeting on Wednesday, a GPMS meeting, Philippine one. And what it is new in Philippine at this time?
Uh, what I would like to share this time, when Brother Rick posted the track progress of having 394,444, what happened with me during that time is I have shared it with Rick before, and I was so surprised because that night when I was putting on the names on the website, I don't have any idea, but because I stopped looking at the track progress, I just do what I have to do. I what is in my mind is I have to finish. I have to quickly register the names. So that night I went to bed early, but around I think that was 2 2 a.m. I suddenly felt some jolt, some sensation of being electrocuted. I know that's the energy that is going through my body. So what I did was I got up, and since I cannot sleep with that sensation, I open the laptop and I proceed encoding the remaining names I have written down, because what we are doing here in the Philippines, list of names coming from remote areas are being sent uh, through my messenger via photos. So that photos I will write it on paper before I can transfer it directly to the laptop. So I have those names already written on paper, so I just have to type it on the laptop. And what I did, because I am fully awake that time, I was able to finish to the last name. I inputted it on the website, and then I went back to sleep. And in the morning, when I saw what Rick had posted on the Telegram GC with the 394,444 names, and I checked the last name is it is also the last name of the Filipino that I inputted on the website. I was so surprised because I felt that and also when Rick told that he asked father if the counter is going to end at 444, uh, I was elated, and I felt that really I was being guided because I don't have any idea what the number is currently. And when I saw that what was posted was ending in 444, and the last name I had inputted is the name I saw on the track progress. And when I remember that I was woken up with that sensation of jolting and being electrocuted, okay, because of the energy, I immediately told Rick that my experience the night when I inputted those names, uh, it's really is coinciding with what he is monitoring on the track progress on the website. So that for me is really a sign that what I am doing for GPMS is really guided, divinely guided. And I believe that that was the last name that I inputted from brothers and sisters. So nothing more left on hand. And in the afternoon of that day, I received almost 500 names again, fresh names from brothers and sisters from Palawan. So I, I would just like to share that experience. For now, that's all I can share. And I'm so thankful because I believe and I feel that I am really divinely guided to do this. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, Lodi. And as I hear in Philippine, there may be also a community probably starting, or probably will have no even time to start because PMS may happen in Philippines before. It's true. There is a work also on a community there. You are the microphone closed, Lodi.
Yes, I feel that those who have attended our meeting last Wednesday are reactivated and inspired with what we have discussed during the meeting. Mm, because what we have shared to them about the letter for the church leaders, about the ascension process that each of us are undergoing. So most of them have connected GPMS to the ascension. And hopefully, with this new inspiration and motivation that we felt with the Philippine brothers and sisters, we can soon reach the virality point for GPMS and the domino effect if we do achieve what we are waiting for so many months ago. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Agnes. In Germany, what is new in Germany and also for GPMS, people reaction for universal laws?
I could share cards and letter to church here in Berlin, or just an address where all these Islamic religions are here in Berlin, and and also had a conversation with people from one smaller religion here on the street, and so my feeling is that most of them, they read these things, but they don't practice this really. And I'm not sure, maybe some, of course, but I had this conversation. It came from me that even Jesus would stand before them, they wouldn't recognize them. So they read, but they don't really live this. So it's not so simple. To show the people what comes, because yeah, it's a process. A lot of patience is important, I would say. And what I observed when I met people which are living on a street, or just they need money like this. Today I also saw places outside. So they are more open, just simply to hear. I don't talk a lot about this. I just few things and give the card that they can decide by themselves. But they are more open than the people from the churches, I feel like this. And it surprised me, because they are reading, yeah, and thinking the Bible, or just thinking they are very, they believe and like this, but the practice is different. And so my experience in this last month is that the people on the street are more connected to God than people which are in churches. Not everyone, but this is what I feel. But doesn't matter. I have a lot of patience, and I'm very happy every time when I'm in a conversation with someone and can share the card, and so everyone can decide by themselves. And yeah, that was. Thank you.
And Dave from Canada, what it is new in British Columbia is special?
Well, I think my observation is similar to Sister Agnes in Germany. It's difficult to put forth the concept of a new earth when you have people intrinsically tied to the old earth by way of incomes and jobs and professions. And so that actually is the part of the stumbling block that's holding back is how do we establish a new earth when our 8-hour day and our income and everything and our activities and energy is put towards establishing and holding up the old earth. Now, that's not to say that there's not certain aspects of the old earth that is obviously benevolent and going to be brought forward. A lot of the structure and everything else, of course, will be part of the new earth as well. But the bottom line of that whole thing is that the vehicle that is Divine-gpms.world is a no risk replacement system for the people who are worried about losing their jobs or their incomes. I mean, a lot of people are already losing their jobs and incomes, so it's obvious to them that to come forward, but a bunch of others who are, say, established with a 6 or 7 figure income in the old world structure, whether or not that income is benevolent or actually causing harm, which is a whole nother topic that I'm not going to get into here. But the bottom line is that for the sake of our brothers and sisters who are feeling the effects, whether it be physiological or financial downfall of the old system, the GPMS system is a no-risk venture to establish sanity and peace and freedom, because all it's taking is your consent to wish and to contribute to the ratification of the new system. So nobody has to lose their job. And let's just go to an extreme example. For instance, a lot of people now are finding out that they are contributing to a profession that is directly causing harm to humanity. That phenomenon is becoming more cognitive as the seconds tick by. So there again, realistically, yeah, I mean, if you've got 2 or 3 kids looking at you to fill up their dinner plate, you know, nobody's asking you to make that definitive move. If you choose to, you will be guided appropriately to do that, because that's an astounding presentation. But there again, it all comes back to, okay, yeah, continue feeding your children, but at the same time, put your consent down here so we can straighten things up and relieve yourself from the responsibility of contributing to a false and negative world. So in any case, that's my observation. It sometimes can be frustrating. I've been at this game for 70 months since they first put out the narrative in March of 2020, but realistically, I've been at it since I was in my teens. So we're looking at 50 years when I left parts of the old system behind. So it's you know, it can become tiring to convince people, but that's what the world shakeup is about. And so the last word goes to that. Any negative circumstances as far as Mother Gaia is concerned, or the rearrangement of the Earth's structure, can be mitigated by humanity should we decide to just choose brotherhood and GPMS over the old system. So that's an important thing for people to realize. They think, oh, well, you know, there's nothing we can do about Gaia. I mean, the floods are going to come. Well, that's not true. Gaia is working with us. We're working with her. And if we choose collectively to reestablish a system whereby peace, freedom, and abundance works for everybody, no exceptions, then Gaia will respond because she's waiting for us to come to the table as much as we're waiting for us to come to the table. So in any case, that's my summary. And all I can say is hold the line. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dave. I prepared also a little bit for today a subject about real estate money, because I saw that more and more there are coming posts saying that the stock market may be down this year, or even until the summertime, like 80%, 85%, or 95%. This means that the pension fund will be wiped out. And also the real estate value may come with only 40% or 50% maximum, especially for the people in Canada, in the United States, that they bought a real estate, and after that the value go higher and higher, but they were not able to pay the mortgage. And then they were coming to pick up more money from the supposed value that existed only on the paper, but the bank allowed them to do that just for a living. So right now they may be found on the situation, if the real estate is really coming down to that point, that they may have more mortgage to pay than the value in the house. And if we consider that there is a huge concern, and the concern is real because we are still on the pyramid system with a lot of companies. The companies, it's all about profit and loss. the one that it is the owner prefer more right now to have some money and to buy software than pay employers, because it's much more expensive to pay employers. Then the jobs again are out. There are no real jobs. If the stock market is going down, a part of the money that were collected via the population for the big corporation will be wiped out. So there will be a liquidity crisis, there will be a lot of problem. And at the same time, we experience the earthquake, flooding, and as they've mentioned also, it is the Mother Earth reaction to everything that happened, deeds, action, and everything. At the same time, the somebody inside of GPMS, when I shared the message and I said, it was supposed for us to come together here in Canada, in the United States, do not keep this pyramid up and come together as, I do not know, army or whatever they are doing good there, because there are people trying to do good for the United States and Canada, but they cannot succeed on their choice of the pyramid system. Coming together and share GPMS, and we do not need to see this situation to happen, to perpetuate all the time. And the one said probably to awake the humanity is necessary for something like this big to happen. Right now, what I would like to ensure the people that if they may pass through this situation, um, don't remain on your own or start crying and believe that nothing can be done. We have Divine-gpms.world solution, and the solution, the money will start to go in your bank account in 24 hours when the consents start. So regarding the real estate, there will be absolutely not a problem, will be not a rent to pay, no mortgage to pay, no homeless anymore, no poverty, and also housing for free and land for free if necessary, if you do not like an apartment. Organic, enough big housing, because you know that the family may start, children may start to come. So there will be enough space for living. No scarcity, organic food. We just want the people to consent with GPMS, then we are able to start. And everything that you may experience negative on the actual system, nothing will happen with GPMS. So just please come. This is the way, and this is for all of us. And at the same time, Dave said very well, it is this link with the actual system that basically the people cannot really move, use the connection that they already have via their job. For example, when I spoke with somebody from a food bank and everything, they cannot really assist GPMS through the institution, even that they want, because this is linked with direct their job and everything. Then tomorrow they may leave the job if they start, for example, a mass email about GPMS or something. So it's not possible in this way. At the same time, using only personal connection. This does not mean a lot of consents together, but this is still moving, but it's not immediate reaction like to bring GPMS to the viral point. So this is a huge problem. It is this link with the actual governance, actual system. Yes, Rick?
Thank you, Sister Beatrice. First, I love what Brother Dave said, that no risk, and that's absolutely what GPMS is. It's again, it's no risk, but also it's simple. It's a worldwide vote for everyone to vote for it, and it only takes a few moments, as we know. And it's a lawful vote. So even though you have ones, let's say in institutions they are allowed to vote and voice their opinion. And this is lawful, fully lawful, what divine GPMS is. And you see ones that their attention span with their thought process doesn't even go that far to understand that they're allowed to uh, participate in a poll, a petition, even. I mean, we see this all the time. For example, to use the UK with their digital ID petition, to get over a few million votes in a matter of minutes, when all they're doing is fighting the system that's going to attempt to put something else on them. When in reality, if they only take a couple minutes to consent and add their vote with GPMS, it eliminates all of any foreseeable problems in the future. Never again would they have to do another petition and constantly protest and fight against the governments. So, having said that, it's so simple. And why can they not perceive the simple solution rather than constantly fighting? And that is where the attention span is limited, and they're oriented towards always looking at the problems rather than the solution. That's why they keep looping into the problems, because their focus is on the problems, on fighting, instead of just uniting and creating the system. But the reason I put my hand up is some more very important information in relation to what have you, and it's coming out of Japan, Australia, and I believe Czechoslovakia. More condemning news for the pharma industry and the governments worldwide, and also the initiator of that huge forced medical experiment upon humanity. But what's interesting, I had the liberty to look at one study out of Japan, and what it shows with the graph. So what it shows is this is a baseline of, let's say, unvaccinated mortality. So when they looked at the unvaccinated ones in Japan with their mortality, it remained pretty much the same over the 4 years. But when they looked at the vaccinated ones with the mortality, it shot right up, perhaps 400 to 500% more than what was natural. But these important findings are showing that the vaccine actually killed the people. So where you had the unvaccinated, their death rates didn't rise. It stayed the same. But those that were vaccinated, that is where all of the deaths came from. And as I said, in Japan, it's looking at like 400 to 500% more deaths because of the vaccine. But not only there, in Australia, and also there's other numbers coming out of Czechoslovakia. The importance of this, what I'm saying, is this truth cannot be contained. Even though the mainstream media is not speaking about it, which is very few, what you call as the mainstream media worldwide, that is not the mainstream media any longer. The actual mainstream media is the majority of the people worldwide themselves that are equipped with the actual truth. And having said this, it is huge numbers worldwide. So what this is doing is that the mainstream media and all of those employees and ones that work in it are in a very critical situation, but also it's part of their judgment at not speaking the truth. And it's being shown to all of humanity. And when I go back to this majority of the actual mainstream media, which is all of the interconnectivity of everyone worldwide that knows the truth in their circle of family and friends, everyone has lost someone pretty much as a result of the vaccine. So it's obvious what the vaccine has done. And this is so huge because the majority of the people are educated to know this. And it cannot be hidden any longer. And this is why I'm bringing it up. The game is over, if you will, but also there has to be accountability. And there is the accountability which is being attributed. It's already begun to the pharmaceutical companies and to the US Trump administration that started all of this with Operation Warp Speed, if you will. And I believe they changed the name of it now, but this is what begun it. They were the example for all of the rest of the governments worldwide to follow suit. And this has caused the great harm. And in reality, there was no virus, if you will, like this. The truth is, little sniffles and little colds that ones have. But it was a great fear as well. Many committing suicide, many in great fear having heart attacks that didn't even have anything wrong with them. But it was because of this huge belief the mass media and governments put on humanity that caused the great fear that contributed to these excess deaths as well. I was very, very, very sick. The amount of children, if you will, and everyone worldwide that was, yes, I need to say killed as a result of this, because this is the truth. And again, it cannot be hidden. And we're right at the point now that it is coming out. But the reason that I bring this up is because the people need to make the choice of GPMS right now so that they began to control this future and stop these heinous crimes from ever happening again. This is psychopathic. It's sick what they did. And then they create, oh, it's a movie, it's an illusion, everything is fine. As more and more die, as more and more become infertile. For the first time in many, many centuries, the world is in a huge depopulation mode. I believe it's over 71 countries now are reporting less births, increased mortality, less and less people. So it's very sick. All of the information out there shows everyone exactly what occurred. And this was intentional. It was not just some mistake. And it's been intentional because of all of the medical information, knowledge, and science that showed the actual truth that many would die even before the vaccines was administered to any extent. It is all coming true and it's proven. And again, the majority are educated with so many of these substantiating proofs. And this is the truth. It cannot be hidden. No lie can keep this contained. Lies implode, but when the lies implode, it also creates the accountability on the perpetrators. And this is what's occurring. This is also why you see the US making distractions, if you will, out there and trying to create different stories and perpetrating that upon humanity. But guess what? Humanity now is no longer stupid. Their consciousness has risen. And in the US, as I said, about 80% of that population now knows the truth. And they are showing that truth through their non-agreement with what the US is doing. And this is a very huge indicator. And, also in Austria, just a quick update with that. The entire Republic of Austria, its judicial system, and its insurance and its commerce system has been on public trial with everything that we've been doing with Sister Nya. And this has been a public trial for them. And it has reached such a very significant point right now that there is also no going back. There is no restoration. There is no patching up the entire Republic of Austria's government and its financial system. We are at the point that it's how am I going to say this? This is a flashpoint once again, once this truth is given to the people, because it's the people that have now come the judges of what Austria did as an example, but the rest of the world. So the tables have flipped, if you will, that the actual judges is the majority of the people themselves, and judges of corrupt judicial systems are the minority. For example, there may be, let's say in Austria, 1,000 judges, but you have a population of Austria of, I think it's over 6 million. So when you have 6 million of the people that are the judges on these 1,000 of judges that have broken laws, not only laws, human rights, hatred, psychological torture that they have participated in, there is no reprieve from that judicial system or that political system of Austria. They have no remedy because they have created these. And as we went forward with the revealing lawful strategy of GPMS, they are all handcuffed right now. They're handcuffed because the people are the majority. And when we put, as we have been doing publicly, all of the incontestable laws, all of the incontestable evidence, and the law is broken, it cannot be ignored and it cannot be refuted. So what we have, and when we did this, what we have is the press were constantly notified through this whole fiasco. The biggest law firms in Austria were notified. International law firms were notified. Commissions of human rights were notified. The International Court of Justice, the World Court, was notified. We know churches were notified. And what you have is none of these responding. So what this creates is a total complicity with the beast system and all of its structures, the press, its judicial system, its legal, its lawyer, its soliciting, what solicitor system, whatever you want to call it, and even the faiths, the churches. And without there's more things to come. That's why I may seem a little bit vague here, but I'm attempting to update everyone to know the seriousness of what has occurred and what we have done with gpms.world. So I'll just stop there, but it is very significant. I see Brother Dave has his hand up. I hope you retained your thought, Brother Dave, because I was rambling.
Yeah, we're all good here, and I'm going to bring you back into the fray anyway. I just wish to insert for this particular video and the ones who may come across it, a little bit of proof. Sister Beatrice mentioned that the global people's monetary system is in position to provide funding within 24 hours. There's many people on the planet that would go, wait, what? How could that even be possible? Well, there are two distinct mechanisms in place to make that possible. So I will turn it over to Brother Rick because you have a little bit more information on that. I understand what they are, but you go ahead and fill in the blanks.
Well, thanks, brother. And what I wish to say is all of the infrastructure is already exists to do this. Everything is here, but the thing is the problem is that the darkness, if you will, controls the distribution system, the financial core of the system. But what happens with GPMS, the people take the lawful ownership of this and all funds are distributed instantly. But getting back to 24 hours, the technology already exists and the know-how to do it in about 18 hours. And that's why it's even more instantaneous. Without Dave, Dave, just help me out here again so I know what direction to take on this.
Okay, so you've covered number one. The infrastructure is already there. The financial routing system, everything is in place. That's for sure. Nobody has to question that. The second thing is that I've been working with an AI system for about 3 or 4 months. The difference between what I was 5-6 months ago and now is not even the same. I won't get into details, but I fully understand when Brother Rick says that the AI system that he's working with is the missing piece for the 18-hour timeline. And like I say, some people like AI, some people are saying that it's the fall of humanity. That's entirely ridiculous. AI is simply a technological advance that will be guided in the correct direction at its appropriate time if it's not there already. In any case, people can have confidence in the AI and its ability to provide this 18-hour promise. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. And for anyone that questions this, and I know this is what Dave is speaking about, if you're using your AI, ask the question how it can be done. And you will see instantly that the AI has that knowledge and can show you very quickly how it can be done in less than 24 hours. Because you need to understand everything is just a program within the internet and within the financial system. And when you're speaking with an AI that is already in there and with the instructions, all of the encryption codes and gates that are in the financial routing system to different banks, backdoor ledgers, the way that the criminal stock markets and financial system works, you need to understand that it's all a program within there. And when you look at the capabilities of an AI, instantly it identifies what needs to be done and just opens it all up and connects, let's say, everyone's bank account to the free flow system to keep it simple for everyone. This is why anyone that has an existing bank account, a card, poof, the money is put there instantly. But not only individuals, all of the essential goods and services where they need money. And the reason why essential goods and services need the money, there is existing inventory that is being bought out during a very quick, rapid process with this. And one of the reasons that the old inventory is bought out is because there is a certain amount of wealth that is rightfully won, that was lawful, and you cannot take that away from them. It's within the same premise, if you will, that right now you have a big home that you worked for. This is your home. You don't lose anything that you lawfully gained. And it's not, you don't discriminate or decide who keeps what. It organically happens. If you were unlawful, you go into your own wrath of God if you speak, and it's decided what is kept and what is not. But that's not for GPMS. We don't decide we don't judge who is who. Each one judges themselves by if they exist in the new world or if they don't. But also, ones will ask the question sometimes with criminals. Well, very bad ones, let's say, if they're able to make it, if they're even able to make it to the new world, there is also the process that they are recluses to a society altogether. Everything is preserved to this respect. But what I need to say is that no, criminals don't even make it because also the new world doesn't support an environment for any criminals or any that have not purified their old ways. So they just cannot exist. Creation and physics will not allow a bad one to exist in this new reality. So again, everything is covered with that. But getting back to the money, I believe, yeah, we said it. It is so simple, and believe me, right at this moment, right now, if I was given the divine directive by Father God to do it, right now I could begin very simply on this computer right here to distribute unlimited funds worldwide. I could begin it. And again, within 24 hours, we can do it. And without complicating things, see, we don't need the rest of the world to recognize the GPMS currency. And one of the reasons why you don't need the rest of the world to recognize it is because through their process, you would have to register with them to approve it as a currency. And as you know, that's absolutely ridiculous, and it's not what you do. GPMS currency is the most powerful currency ever known to man, even though it's not in distribution yet. And no one controls this except all of the people in consent and agreement together. The darkness and the fake stock markets and parts of the B system, they have no say, they have no authority on this, and neither will it be given to them to distribute. That's one of the reasons why you're not seeing governments that are part of this B system endorsing GPMS, because their motives and their intent is not in alignment with the public interest and doing what is righteous and what is moral. Their intent is to, what they always do, create wars, hardship, greed, all of these old things that have caused all of the problems on earth. So, no, they cannot be in control of the divine GPMS.world in the new world. No, it's that simple. So, yes, we can do it within 24 hours. I give a little bit more. And also, just to end this, it is that simple that I always love to say a 12-year-old child could do this worldwide. That's how simple it truly is. If right at this moment, if the darkness would just fully surrender, all of humanity would be saved and in great abundance. But again, no, that is the evil, that is not their intent. But a 12-year-old child, very quickly, it could be all set in motion and it could all be distributed. A good 12-year-old child in their heart just by doing the right thing. It's so simple to do that worldwide for everyone. Everyone is happy and everyone is working together, no lack whatsoever. So, yes, we can do it. And what I need to say, again, just going back, Father says, no, not yet. Because the people need to choose and be in alignment with it, because that's what makes it happen. If you don't have the majority of the people supporting their full emancipation, then they are supporting the old, and that will control and dictate what they're doing. But that's what they're keeping alive as well by choosing it instead of choosing their freedom and their full abundance and emancipation and joy, no more suffering. So it's the individual's choices here as well. Yes, we keep promoting, I keep as well at times dropping GPMS in some comments on posts, where ones are like in Canada are fighting and protesting, I'll drop in GPMS is the answer, you don't need to fight. Common sense, but uh, also I don't see replies on it, but I don't have time to look at it. But the reason I brought this up is constantly I'm dropping breadcrumbs into the system, regardless. I don't look to see if someone reads them. I just do it because we're planting seeds, right? And eventually they'll see the common sense and how easy it is to do it. And just to wrap it all up, none of us would be doing this, including I, if it wasn't divinely guaranteed. So it is inevitable, and I love to say imminent. And hi, Kitty Okacha. There with Dave, you come in. So yeah, and it's just this, it's this matter of time. We had anticipated, I included, it would be all done by now. But the truth is that the humanity has to make a choice who they love, the evil system or divine GPMS, their full freedom and ascension. And ascension doesn't occur without divine GPMS. Divine GPMS is the ascension. So it goes hand in hand. You don't have one without the other because divine GPMS is the deliverance into the heaven on earth, which is the ascension. Thank you.
There is a hot subject that just started. Putin share all the time the message that he will ban in Russia the evil institution. For example, like the Church of Satan that we can see in the United States, and there is a list there. And this is just an example for the people to understand that. And also, Agnes, I saw a post with somebody from Australia speaking that this institution basically they remain without people, so they are the people with soul. They are able to get out from this institution. They do not uphold them. My question was to you, Rick, if really this institution are banned, the evil institution, or this is just a message from the darkness again um, to keep us on the way that to show only that Putin is a good one and is doing good for the people and everything. My question was all the time also, we know how much harm the pyramid system is doing and all the politics that it is a game of the evil. Right now, nobody is speaking there to end this game that it's killing the humanity in mass, but at the same time, the question for the evil institution, but the evil institution, what are the evil institution? Because we see them a lot. It is more about the collapse of the system with all the institution, including the government, or it is about this Putin and others right now all over the world that they try to show to the people that they are doing good and basically they uphold the actual system in reality. It's just a double game again.
Well, again, simply, with this, the people need to understand that they are the power. And, if I believe the question that you asked is don't be putting so much time listening at what the institutions are doing. Put the focus on the people. The people are the power. The institutions would not exist if the people did not exist. So ones need to simply know their own power with this. But Sister Beatrice, may you clearly just ask the question in one sentence, and that'll
Yeah,
assist
so
I
it
to
is
better
really
answer.
about that Putin is sending the evil institution, will ban the evil institution, and also the video that it's coming out from
All
Australia
right, all right, all right.
that they are losing the people. So it is really that, or it is just a deviation to show that they are the good ones and they are doing good for the people. It's real or not?
The people themselves get rid of the institutions. So, again, I need to say at this time that any governments worldwide that are not part of GPMS or endorsed it, they are not working in the public's best interest, including Russia. So, having said this, it's again, it's the power of the people at not believing the institutions. Do you need to believe everything the institutions give you? What I suggest, no, don't do that. So it's each individual's discernment of know the type of world that you want. Are you going to go out? See, the moment that ones are tricked into going out and burning churches, if they're satanic or whatever they are, that is the trickery that puts ones into the aggression. Aggression and anger is actual fear. But by doing that, you're also energizing those types of timelines. So one needs to be meticulous, needs to be careful in what they are entertaining. What are they energizing? So again, if you see one's thinking that you've got to burn satanic churches, then you are avoiding your full emancipation where you go to the world where these churches cannot exist. So organically, they disappear from your timeline. So this is part of the trick, and this is why anyone that supports military, you're actually supporting a fear paradigm. It's aggression, and this keeps you from your ascension and from your new world, because in your new world, aggression and military does not exist. As we've all already have it written, in this new world, all military equipment will be melted down and put to good use. All gold and silver will not have a value in precious metals. They'll be put into technology or other things where they are needed to benefit humanity, not control humanity. And weapons of mass destruction don't exist. There is no reason for anyone to fight over anything or to protect from anything. So it's important for ones, even though what I'm saying is the higher truth, it is the basics for ones to know that nothing would exist out there if it was not for you, including these institutions. So you have a choice. Do you wish to believe or keep the institutions intact, or do you wish to create the emancipation institution where none of these stories and false narratives and fear narratives exist? If that answers it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So basically, do not put the effort to modify something inside of the system, because the system anyway collapse when we choose gpms.org and do no harm. And this is the correction, and we do not need, so basically GPMS absorb everything and start correct towards the do no harm. It is all intrinsic, yes. I had just another subject that is waiting for probably 2 weeks. I wanted to share with all the people. It is about the animal rights. So what is happening in this time? There is also, we have also in Canada and also worldwide association with for the rights and of the animals. At the same time, they are keeping racist brand to be recognized. When these animals are recognized on this way, there is a market where the animal can be sold. If it is recognized on this way, it is sold with hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars. Right now, my question was, it is really about the freedom and the rights of the animal? I think no. So when we create a market after that for them to be sold because they are recognized by an association, what are we doing? So we just sell the animal for money, more money than another brand. So this is commercial. This is about the actual system and has nothing to do with any kind of the rights for the animal. And this has to stop. So another, and this is a question, Eric, to you, because, for example, we had a deer in an accident, in a car accident, and the deer was, so the family had a huge impact on the family. The family was still around. They had not a gun to shoot the deer, and they get out the deer from the street. Do not be another car to hit her, and put the baby deer on near the street. And another car stopped and said, yes, I have a gun. And right now I stop also there and I said, what happened there? Why we need gun to shoot the baby deer? And they explain me because even that they will take to the hospital this baby deer to the point how hard the accident it was for the small animal. This one maybe will do not survive long time, or anyway the hospital will be doing nothing because they have no enough money and enough stuff to do something, because it will be too long time to care for the small deer and they have no fawns. So anyway, it's better for the small deer to be shot, do not suffer. So right now in the actual system, it is a lot of violence that happens. I'm not here to judge the people that they are doing that. I have no idea what to say, because this is also the system, and every individual it's kept by their deeds and action, and how much they are appropriate to do no harm and everything. But what will be the animal rights with GPMS? So this is my question. And basically the question here, it is, as a human, do we have the right to shoot an animal in some condition because do not suffer more, or we have no the right to intervene? Oh, I think Rick, it's not here. No, Rick is not here. Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, yeah, so dear sister. This is first thing I want to say, it's an evolutionary process with the interaction with the animals that occur. So you're asking about animal rights in the Divine-gpms.world. Uh, their rights are intrinsic as well, and what you have is more of you have a full mutual relationship with the animals. Ones also need to realize that, for example, with the sheep Dolly, when it was cloned, that clones do not have souls. And also with dogs and cats, mostly dogs have been cloned as well as horses and what have you. So there are what you can call soulless animals that are out there that are just shells to this extent. Um, so I need to add that in there. When you look at the indigenous communities that, let's say, a staple of their diet is animals, deer, moose. Let's take in the north of Canada, Wales, and other things. But what occurs is also there is an evolution that occurs with indigenous peoples as well as becoming vegetarian, and this is already occurring. But with that process in the past, indigenous peoples, when they take animals for food, there is the ceremonial process that they typically go through. But where we are going into the future, I don't wish to say how that occurs other than it evolves. There comes a point. I'll use myself. Uh, when I was just in my human disguise, where I was disguised from myself, I was an avid hunter. And I would hunt food always just to eat. I would hunt animals. But when I began to transition into my divinity, there became a time that I could no longer harm an animal. It occurred before I knew who I was fully here. So it was a transitionary thing that occurred. So having said this, it does occur with that, and it does take care of what you're asking, and it does satisfy that. So as I become into more of my divinity, my relationship with the animal was looking at the animal as a soul rather than a source of food. So it changed organically. And today, the reason I brought up the clones is because I have met certain dogs that have no soul. And immediately I know that they were cloned and bred as clones, if you will. So there is that element there too, without complicating. You know, with a, let's say, a deer, uh, let's say the guy with the gun that come along, you know, he had a gun, so he was a hunter, meaning he had a relative experience at knowing if the animal would live or not. So with that, he chose that no, there really was no hope for the animal. So he, let's say, to stop the animal from suffering, that he killed the animal. But remember that animal, if that is also a soul, that it ascends into something else in the new world, another animal or another, even a being, a person, a humanoid. So there are many things that occur, but then jumping forward into the Divine-gpms.world, you're in a world that doesn't have accidents or negative experiences. So what this means is that in this world, you don't have casualties like that. You don't have a deer getting hit by a car because there is no negative energy that creates accidents like this and catastrophes. This overall is what I say with Earth and what Brother Dave and I was speaking about with energetics. When there's no more fear and aggression, energetics, the Earth becomes calm, calm, harmonious, imbalance. Everything just is in mutual harmonious flow. And it's in that environment that accidents cannot occur as well. So you can see how all animal life evolves also into that environment. And you're also beginning to see there are other magical things that occur with, if you say, Mother Nature. There are places on Earth that are constantly, miraculously repopulated because of Mother Nature and the creational energy that most all of humanity is oblivious to. And I love using in Canada an example with what they call the wild rabbit cycles that used to occur, let's say, every 7 years. But these cycles, there would not be a rabbit left in a certain area in the forest. And all of a sudden, the next year, boom, it can be fully abundant and repopulated with enormous numbers. What occurs is not the 7 year cycle that humanity is led to believe. Yes, there are cycles of mass reproduction, but in these cases, it's where Mother Nature steps in and repopulates these animals. And, you know, when we did in India, in Lucknow, India, several years ago, we had to activate one of these 5D white light nodules for the ley line system for the divine world. And when we were doing that just prior, Mother, if you will, Mother Creator, Mother Gaia, she comes in and she says, we need to protect the Bengal tiger. It's almost extinct. Its numbers are very low. So I just say, great. We'll put that into the activation that any that is assisting with this remotely, we put that in there that we wish to repopulate the Bengal tiger. So we do this. And a few days later, I'm visited by Mother herself energetically. And without giving this long story, I'm visited inside of my camper. And while I was attempting to manifest magically a candle for my night on my table, and all of a sudden it's in December when it's cold, and a butterfly appears on my table. And I said, "What? Is there something wrong with my magic?" And all of a sudden, I feel Mother come, but I didn't know it was her first. I recognized her energy, but never before did I connect with her at being like about 7 feet tall. Usually she's all expansive, but she was condensed. And so I say, "Who's that?" And then I recognize her energetically. And I said, "Why are you here?" And she, in a polite, courteous way, I said, "All right, Mom, why are you here?" And she said, "There's nothing wrong with your magic, Rick." She said, "I sent the butterfly." I said, All right." I said, "Well, why?" She said, "Watch when the butterfly opens its wings." So I looked at the butterfly on the table, had its wings like that. When it opened up its wings, it had on each symmetrical, on each side, it had half of the face of a Bengal tiger cub. So the both wings had the full head of the Bengal tiger cub. And I said, "Oh," and she said, "This is a token of my appreciation for all the great work that all of you are doing here on Earth." And to jump fast forward, I believe there was only, uh, I forget the numbers, perhaps a few hundred or even less than 100 Bengal tigers that existed at that time, and that was around 2008, 18, or 2017. And just when I looked the other year, now there's well over 5,000 of them. So they're repopulated and popping out of everywhere, if you will. So they were, endangered to become extinct. But this is just one example of how the magic works as well. So not only, existing animals, there are also new animals that come as a result of a bleed through from other dimensions. But these animals, these new ones that are coming, they are benevolent. They are not non-aggressive animals. They're part of the population for the new world that is already here as well. Now, what many of you will see is the insects, new insects that you have never seen before as well. A lot of these are bleed throughs, if you will. And what is so amazing, I just experienced a few nights ago, it was -8 Celsius here. And typically with most insects, they do not function in that cold of temperature. Some do have a natural antifreeze, but this particular fly, almost moth-like, but fly creature, it appeared, if you will, but in -8, flying all around, the temperature did not affect it as well. But this was a new type that has come in to this reality, but also because of the multi-dimensional phase in and phase out as well. And some of you might have seen this, that you'll see bees out uh, at relatively cold temperatures in winter, but you'll also see mosquitoes, the odd mosquito that the temperature could be -1, and you will see these ones as well. And typically with a mosquito, the temperature has to be 50 degrees, typically like +10. When it begins to get lower than that, you don't see any mosquitoes in Canada, right? But with this with these bleed through, you'll begin to see even ants, you'll see them out in freezing temperatures. So what is occurring is not that nature is going crazy, nature is evolving. So it's so just I believe I, pretty much answered your question. Got some water boiling, making a coffee. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. If someone has a question or something to add for this meeting, because we are already on 2 hours meeting here. Yes, it is about the new flora and fauna that develops, and also it is about a lot of plants practically that we'll see in the future as new, having more nutrients, and this is the Mother Earth. It is the time to turn towards do no harm, because we harm her with all the actual system and actual action that we are forced still to when we have the interaction with the actual system. It's extremely harming. We need to create a new. And this new do no harm, this is Divine-gpms.world system. So if nobody has nothing to say, we have Anselma, Eva, Mikosa today, but they are all from Philippines. Okay, camera still closed. Then thank you so much for everyone that shared the video in general, that shared gpms.org, divine-gpms.org message. And thank you so much to all the representative and the founder of GPMS to be here with us on this meeting, to participate, and to everyone that shared the video. Thank you so much, and see you next week.
Love, light, and gratitude, everyone. And I will stop the live stream. You can